Hi, my name is Chantal, and today I would like to talk to you all about my journey with lupus, hypothyroidism, deep vein thrombosis, and much more. I was raised by my grandparents, myself and my sister. Um, we were raised in a nice neighborhood, schools nearby, community centers, so forth. I was pretty active as a child growing up. The ending of the year of 1991, um, I became very ill after witnessing my grandfather pass in front of me. My uncle and my grandmother one evening saw that I had a massive nosebleed. This had to be maybe a week to 2 weeks after my grandfather's passing. And they took me to the Children's Hospital. At that time, it was on Tupper in Montreal, Quebec. And the doctors let my grandmother know that I was very, very, very sick. I'm not sure how long I was admitted, but there was a lot of testings done, scans, and I was quite sick from then. So I was 10 years old, and the doctors had no clue. They kept testing me. They thought I had like various diseases. Didn't come to the conclusion it was lupus, but they thought other things. Almost every month to 2 months, I was admitted in hospital because of a flare up. Antibiotics, intravenous, a lot of blood work. The year of 97, I think 96, I think that's when my grandmother passed away. 96 or 97. It was very hard for me when I lost my grandparents because they did a lot for me, especially my grandmother. She took care of me. She was a nurse. She knew what to do. And after her passing, about maybe a year later, I ended up getting a blood disorder called deep vein thrombosis. I remember being rushed again to the hospital with my uncle. He picked me up, brought me to the hospital. As you can see, I have a scar here from a trach. They had to do an operation on my neck because I had a clot in one of the larger veins. My neck was like out to here. I couldn't see my chin. And when I woke up, I was woken up and saw this tube in my neck. And I was in hospital, I believe, from October of 98 until January of 99. And I was in high school, I remember. I remember going back to school. And, my classmates, they're wondering if I was okay because they heard I was in hospital. They saw me with a big bandage. But, they knew, they saw that I was okay. After my grandparents' passing, it was, like I said, it was very difficult. I started working around maybe 16 and a half, to buy medication, do my own thing, try not to think about them too much. And that was tough as well. So from 16 and a half until maybe 25, 26, I was working. The doctors, in between the time that I had the trach, 98, until the age of 25, 26, I was in and out of hospital. So let's say from the age of 10 to 26, in and out of hospital. Because I did not know what to do. Lupus was this thing just messed up my whole life. Let's see, I think at the age of 27 too, I was admitted again. I think I had to do a biopsy on my hip. They saw something with my bones because I was on a steroid called prednisone that destroys the bones. And I believe they took a piece of my bone and try to see how my bones were because of the drug. At this time, which I forgot to mention to you all, between the ages of 10 to 20, I have to say, I was on 30 pills a day. 30 pills a day for each organ, and a skin cream because the lupus, it affected my skin. It had it very, very dry. They also diagnosed me with Raynaud syndrome, is where your skin, your fingers, or your toes, they change different colors. You can be in hot temperatures, the summer temperatures, and my color, instead of it being red, it would go straight to white, then blue, purple, and even maybe black. And they claim there's no cure for it. I don't take medication for it. I just have to learn how to deal with it. There's some seasons that it gets worse than others, but I've learned how to tolerate it. At the age of 26, I remember being hospitalized, but I don't remember what for, but my doctors did let me know I can't continue to work because with lupus, I mean, for anybody, stress is a no-no. But with anybody that has lupus, we have to be careful about the stress that we intake because it can make us very sick, causes us to have flare-ups. And they saw the years I worked and saw how many times I was admitted, and they told me if I continue to work, my situation would just get worse or even fatal. So I had to stop working, something that I loved to do. I loved to get out there and, work and do my own thing. That was very hard. In June 2008, I ended up having a seizure. So almost a year after I started working, I ended up having a seizure. And I was rushed again to the hospital. My uncle was at home at the time, so he was there. He caught me when I fell, and I was rushed. He called the ambulance, and they rushed me to the hospital. And again, I was very sick. The seizure caused my body to shut down. It caused me not to talk, eat, move. I was like a vegetable. The only thing that was moving was like my eyeballs. And I believe from June 2008 until maybe August 2008, there was no movement, there was no talking. But when August came around, I think I said a few words. This is what I remember. This is what I was told, and the staff at the hospital were very, very happy, because every time I got sick, I was always admitted on that same floor, and they knew me very well. They started to feed me puree foods, because at the time when I had the seizure, I had a feeding tube and that they put in my belly so that I can get some nutrients. So again, they introduced me to puree foods to get me started back on eating, and physio to get myself moving. And then December 24th of 2008 is when they had me go to a rehabilitation center to learn how to do these things, everyday things all over again. Speaking, the eating, the moving. And that was very hard because I thought I was going to go home for Christmas. But for me not to lose my place, they sent me there. The following day, they allowed me to go home for Christmas, but just for a few hours, as I was like a new patient at the rehab center. And from December 24th, 2008 until ending of April, I think April 25th, 2009, that's the duration I stayed at the rehab. I got back my speech. I was able to move around. My appetite was good. But when I got back home, it was very difficult for me because I did not expect to go back home with a walker, 2 quad canes, and a wheelchair. I wouldn't say upset, but I was sad about my situation. I thought that they could have kept me longer to push me more, but with rehabilitation centers, they push you as far as you can go. I eventually learned how to deal with it. And summer of 2011, I was rushed to hospital again because I had a cyst on my ovary. My uncle again, he always saves me, came to get me and rushed me back to the hospital. And I remember the hospital I usually go to, they had to send me to another hospital because the case that I was dealing with the cyst, I guess they don't deal with that. So I was rushed to the Royal Victoria Hospital. They took care of me. They gave me antibiotics that was on for about a month. So I spent 2 weeks at the Royal Vic, and then another 2 weeks at the hospital I accustomed to going to, Montreal General. Then another 2 weeks there, and then I went home. Now we're gonna go from 2011 to August 31st of 2024. See, it was a big period that I was doing very, very well. But August 31st of 2024, I'm gonna say that was the hardest hardest day for me. I wasn't feeling well. That morning, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move. And I called my sister and I let her know that I feel like my days are numbered. She rushed home to see what was going on with me. And she called an ambulance. And they came to get me. And I was rushed to hospital. I remember it seemed like the whole staff was in a room with me, working on me. They did a CT scan and they saw that I had a cyst. It seemed like I had a cyst the size of an orange, and I hemorrhaged. I lost 2 liters of blood. The surgeon that came to see me, who was going to operate on me, I remember asking him if I was going to die. And he told me he wasn't able to tell me. My sister at the time was there with me, holding my hand. They were working on putting like an IV in my vein. For some reason, it's difficult to get my veins. I don't know why. I remember screaming and crying. But I remember them taking me out of the room, and I remember my sister was just looking at me. And they wheeled me away into this operating room, a small room where there was like a really bright light. And they put this mask on my face, and before you know it, I passed out. When I woke up, my sister was there in a room waiting for me. And the doctor said that the surgery went well, and I would be able to go home in next 2 to 3 days. But that didn't happen with me because lupus came to play. This cyst had nothing to do with lupus. The longer I stay in hospital, because my immune system is weak because of this disease, I pick up things easily. So lupus came to play. My blood disorder, of course, came to play as I lost 2 liters of blood. And my situation was up and down. So 2 to 3 days turned out to be 3.5 weeks. I had to get a blood transfusion, but it didn't work because of the antibodies I have in my blood. That was the first one. And I think a week and a half later, I had to get another transfusion because one of my organs wasn't doing well. I think it was my kidneys. My kidney function wasn't doing well. And that second transfusion really took the cake. After the transfusion was done, a whole set of nurses came into my room packing my stuff. And I asked them what's going on. And they told me, you have to go back to emergency. I said, well, what happened? Did it not work? Did the transfusion not work? And the male nurse that I had, he told me, your kidneys have been affected. But he didn't go into detail. And when they rushed me to the emergency, the nurse that I had, the overnight nurse, she came to calm me down because I was crying. Because I knew if I lost my kidneys, I just knew it wouldn't be good. And she tried to calm me down. She was telling me, your blood pressure is raising, calm down. And I told her, I said, well, what's going on with my kidneys? And she said that the transfusion that I was given, it caused me to have kidney injury. And I cried even more. I eventually calmed down and I went to sleep. I was woken up to somebody tapping me, and it was my brother-in-law. I don't know how he got through the emergency doors at 3 a.m., but he did. And I remember him asking me if I'm okay, and I said, well, I don't know how I feel because I was sleeping, and I can hear my sister on the line. You know, she's laughing, like he's got her on the phone, and he's telling her, oh, she's okay, she's okay. So, you know, and I was telling him, how did you get through? How did you get through? He's like, no, I can get through. But that was that hospital stay was the toughest one for me, because I ended up having sepsis, a collapsed lung, kidney injury, as I explained to you guys. I also had a central line in my neck because they would take blood on a daily basis. I was very weak. But the nurse I had for the next few days, the male nurse, he nursed me back to health in 24 hours. He worked overtime. He came before his shift and he left after his shift. Like way after his shift. He made sure that I was comfortable, I was okay. And when I got better, I told him, you know, that you saved my life and I'll come back and visit you. And he told me never to come back. I said, no, I don't plan on coming back to stay. He's like, no, in general. He said he didn't want to see me, but, you know, he was a joker. And a few days later, I was doing physio, trying to get back my strength to learn to walk again. And I eventually went home. And it was hard because, like I said, I was weak. I was very weak. I had trouble walking. My balance was off. But I worked on it. And here I am today. But a lot of, I have to say, my aunt, my late aunt, who just wanted me to get rid of the lupus. She always promoted this natural stuff for me to take, and I would always argue with her, and I would tell her, oh, no, you know, you already know the doctors are not going to allow me to take it. Like, don't, no, I'm not going to take it. But because she pushed so much, and before she passed, I was able to tell her I was in remission. And she was really happy. And up to today, I mean, every 6 weeks I do blood work for my rheumatologist and the lupus test, and again, it shows I'm still in remission and my organs are working very well. And I'm no longer on 30 pills anymore. I'm on 4 pills now. And I've been doing this for 33 years. I've been fighting for 33 years. It's been a long road. It's a long, bumpy road. And for those that are now finding out that they have lupus, I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy in the beginning. It's not easy. It's hard. I know because I've been there. I've been where you guys are. And all you have to do is just make sure that you don't miss your doctor's appointments. Ask questions. Make sure you do research on yourself on what you got going on with the lupus. Everybody that has lupus might not have what I have with it. Like I said, I have hypothyroidism, I have Raynaud syndrome, I have rheumatoid arthritis. I had issues with my heart that are now good now. Everybody is different when it comes to lupus, but the flare-ups you have to really watch out for. Sometimes you can treat them at home yourself, but if you can't treat them, like I would say, at least give it 2 days, then go to the emergency room. I wouldn't play around when it comes to flare-ups. And make sure you take care of your gut, because gut health is very important. I learned about this like not too long ago. If you don't take care of your gut, you're not going to get better. And I believe, and it is stated too, that that's how health issues arise, is if your gut is not healthy. So just remember to do these things that I said. Don't miss your doctor's appointments. Do your exercise. I have to take my own advice because I haven't done my exercise in a while because I've been very busy with the doctors. Drink your water because our kidneys are so important. That is one of the first organs to go when it comes to lupus. So please take care of your kidneys. Do research on what you have going on with your illnesses, and take care of your gut, and just try and better yourself. And I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for 33 years. And I feel positive now than 20 years ago, because I used to say to myself, why me? But I'm living proof that you can get better and do better. And this is my journey of lupus. Thank you all for listening.